Hey guys, welcome to another edition of 6L Outdoors Gearing Up. I'm Bryan Lovell. We got a special guest with us today. This is my oldest daughter, Faith. Faith doesn't get to come and hunt with me too much, especially when we're doing predator hunting. But she got to go out with me and hunt with me this last weekend. We hunted for about 23 hours, something like that. Mm-hmm. So, but we hunted in a competition. But anyway, we had a great time, but we got to test out some new gear. But before we get into the gear, we want to talk a little bit about one of our sponsors that helped us to get that gear, and that's rentoutdoorgear.com. Those guys over at Rent Outdoor Gear are great. They've got all kinds of equipment, not just the thermal optics that we're going to talk about today, but they've got ground blinds. Once again, thermal optics including scopes, binos, monoculars. They have regular binoculars, camping gear, backpacking gear, spotting scopes, rangefinders, tripods, accessories for the tripods, coolers, chronographs, even trekking poles if you're going out hiking and backpacking. They've got a lot of great gear, and if it wasn't for them being a sponsor, we wouldn't have been able to have some of the equipment we have here on the table that we're going to talk about today. So as we said, we're predator hunting. And Faith and I have never really had a chance to use thermal gear, and we wanted to try it. It was fun. Mm-hmm. Big learning curve for us. It's a little bit different than using a traditional rifle scope and having a red light on it that we've done in the past when we're predator hunting. We had a couple of different thermal optics here on the table that we utilized. Two from Pulsar that we got from Rent Outdoor Gear, and then one from ATN that a friend of ours loaned us to test out and compare. So on the table here in front of us, in front of Faith, we have the Pulsar XQ50 rifle scope. Takes 30 millimeter rifle scope rings, just like most all rifle scopes anymore do. Fits right on top of your AR using the scope mount that Rent Outdoor Gear had included for us. It has a 640 by 480 microbolometer resolution, which I don't know what that means. But anyway, it also has a 17 micron pixel pitch, 8 user selectable colors for the heat signature, full color display that's 1024 by 768 HD AMOLED display. The cool thing about this scope, and one of the things Faith and I like the most, is it has a picture-in-a-picture. It is 3.5 by 14 adjustable, but you can also utilize that picture-in-a-picture to have your zoom in the top of your scope and still have it at 3.5 on the bottom. And that was pretty cool at times because we might have an animal that's a little further out, and we wanted to still have it zoomed out for when it came up close, but we could actually still look at him at a lot closer distance when it was further out and kind of get an idea what kind of animal we were looking at. Another thing about this scope is it has 15 different user selectable reticles, including 4 different colors: red, mm-hmm. white, green.
No, rainbow.
No, not the heat. The reticle. The crosshairs, red, white.
I only saw the white.
You only saw the white? Okay. So red, white, black, and green. So, and then 16 gig internal storage, 50 hertz refresh rate. Pretty good refresh rate on it. But one of the things I noticed is if you're used to running a standard rifle scope and you go to moving too quick, it will kind of lag just for a second, but once you figure that out, you learn how to slow down. But it was really great. One of the things I noticed that Faith, you were saying you really liked about it when we were hunting. Tell me a little bit about it. You were talking about as it cooled off throughout the night while we were.
Yeah, like in the beginning, you couldn't really see as well because everything was still warm, including the trees. But after it started cooling off, you could see past the trees and different animal outlines and whatnot.
Right, yeah. Of course, here in Texas, it's already getting up into the 90s, and unfortunately, this weekend was the same situation. And so, right at sunset and up to a couple of hours afterwards, the thermal signature from the trees and the rocks and everything, even changing it to the tree signature, it was so hot that you had a little more trouble to discern what the heat signature was on the animal. But as it cooled off throughout the night, it was great because even when the animal was behind the brush, you could see past the trees and see it. You may not have been able to get a shot on it at that moment, but you knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but what were some of your favorite things about that scope besides being able to heat signature? You were saying earlier when we were talking about this, when we were hunting, you liked how you were able to utilize the menu button from the side.
Yeah.
So right there, it was pretty easy to use. Since you're right-handed, you could use the memory button or the menu button right there on the side and not take your shooting hand off of the rifle.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing we had here is the Pulsar XQ38 Monocular. It is a 384 by 288 pixel resolution, 17 micron pixel pitch. Once again, it has 8 colors on it, 3 to 12 power zoom with the picture-to-picture capability on it as well, 50 hertz refresh rate. The cool thing about both of them is they had what they call a Stadia rangefinder, so you could adjust the range. You could put these two lines on top of your target and you can kind of get an idea of what the range was. So, but that was it was great to have this we could scan with the monocular and see where stuff was, and then I could get Faith kind of pointed in the right direction so she's not having to scan the full time sitting on the tripod. She had the rifle mounted on the bog pod, and she was able to just stay in one position, and then I could tell her what direction to move from there. So it worked out pretty good. I tried this out a few days before we went out in blowing cold wind, and man, it was awesome. You could pick up the heat signatures of the animals. We had 60-mile-an-hour winds at night, and we were able to truly see the animals even bedded down. And it was great then. Like we said, the only downside with both of these, or actually all three of the thermals, was that in West Texas, when it's 90 degrees and you're sitting there going out right at dark, there's sometimes more heat signatures that interfere with being able to see your target. So now the other optic we have over here on the table is the ATN Thor LT320. It is also a thermal scope. It's 320 by 240 resolution, but it has a 12 micron pixel pitch. So it actually has a better micron pixel pitch than either one of the Pulsars we have on the table. Now Pulsar does make a 12 micron that is actually better than any of the scopes we have on the table, but it is also more expensive. The one benefit that we had with the Thor LT was it had a 16-hour battery life, and we didn't run that down at all. Now, the Thermion XQ50 rifle scope, it had like a 5-hour battery life, and we always had one battery on the charger because we were going through batteries. You know, we'd have it on constantly, and while we're making stands, and we would just run out of battery, and we'd have to change them out. So we made sure we always had a battery charging. Fortunately, the guys over at Ren Outdoor Gear had sent us some extra batteries, and so we ended up having what we needed to get through the night. We never had a time when we weren't able to use that scope because we always had the extra batteries charging. The downside of this little this Thor LT320 is it only has 2 colors of heat signature that you can choose from, black hot or white hot. So you don't have near as many user capable changes as you do on the Thermion. However, the Thor LT retails for MSRP of about $2,000, whereas the Thermion retails for about $5,000, $4,000, $5,000. This also only has 4 reticles versus the 15. Only one color on the reticle, which is red, versus the 4 colors over here on this one. Now, ATN does make higher end Thors, the Thor IV, and I think their 640 Thor IV has a lot more color capabilities on par with what the Thermion XQ50 does. And it's about the same price. It's a little bit cheaper, but it's almost the same price as the Thermion. This also has an external storage, so you could put a 64 gig micro SD card in here and store as much data as you wanted to on it. We didn't run the recorder the whole time simply because we didn't really want to record every stand we made, but we did record a few things and it was good. The recording capabilities were good on it. But you know, as far as having the capability of having the external is nice, because then you can use a larger storage capability than you would with the internal. Once again, on the LT, the Thor LT, it uses 30 millimeter tube with the same kind of scope mounts that you can use on the Thermion. But other than that, we had a great time. We didn't win, but that's okay. But
we did get the door prizes.
We did get door prizes. Yes, we did. We actually walked away with some great door prizes from the contest we were in, and so it made it all worthwhile. We got to take a guy with us. It's part of 6L DFT, 6L Outdoors, that had never had an opportunity to go predator hunting like we had this week, and he had a great time. I think he's still worn out. That's why he's not here with us today.
Probably.
You know, he's still tired. He couldn't hang with us. But anyway, so once again, guys, thanks for watching. Check out the guys at rentoutdoorgear.com. They do a great job. I'll have a link in the description below. They're working on getting us a discount code over there with them, and if I get that soon, I'll also include that down in the description. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.